Hello, this is the Scribe Hound Gardening Podcast, and I am James Alexander-Sinclair, and over there is
Joe Swift.
We are here to talk about... What are we going to talk about?
Well, I'm not sure of the subject this week, but before we launch into it, we do encourage listeners and viewers.
Yes.
People could watch this.
They could watch this if they have nothing better to do with their lives.
Yeah, if it was me, I'd just listen to it as I was driving along or, doing a bit of gardening.
I think that's better, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be nice accompanying. But we encourage people to write in with their questions.
To gardening@scribehound.com.
You always do the good bits. You know that stuff. And so we do that at the end of the programme. But I really like that bit, that interactive.
That's it. And I also like the fact that if you want more of this, then you can go and subscribe to Scribehound and become one of our much loved subscribers. And then you get writing by 30 very, very good writers. Name me three of them.
Three of them: Joe Swift, James Alexander-Sinclair.
No, three of them aren't in this room.
Okay, Alan Titchmarsh.
Yes.
Sarah Raven.
Yes.
And Leah Line Dance, as we call her.
Line Dance. Leah
Line Dance.
Who has a voice like
She's got an
melted
incredible
treacle.
Her voice is just beautiful, isn't it?
It's the best thing. But so that means that you can listen to it as well as read it. So if you go and look in the show notes, you will find a link to Scribehound Gardening. But in the meantime, I shall tell you what we're going to talk about right now.
Go on then.
Do you have, Joseph, any pets? Gardening can sometimes be bewildering, which is why I am so pleased that we have snuggled up with our friends at Crocus for this podcast series. As you probably know, Crocus is the most trusted online gardening brand. Their website is stuffed full of advice, inspiration, and of course, plants and products to help bring your dream garden to life. Check out Crocus's website to find out more. If you find something that you just cannot resist, use the code SCRIBEHOUND20 at the checkout to enjoy 20% off all full-price plants until October the 31st, which is, of course, Halloween.
Pets?
Yes.
Why is it such a why is it so difficult for you to get that out?
Because
ask it straight, Jimmy. Do you have any pets, Joe?
Do you have any pets, Joe?
No, not at the moment. No, because we had a couple of cats. I am a big cat lover, but Sherby, when we took her to Dorset, she was an old cat, and she's now buried in the little bit of woodland that we've got.
Oh, that's very nice.
Sherby, it was a very distressing death. I won't get into that for you, but yes. So we used to have cats. I am a massive cat lover, but I'm now hugely concerned about cats, wildlife, the garden. I would like another cat at some point. Kath wants a dog. I am not. This is because we're gonna lose all our listeners now because I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna come out with it. Okay. I'm not a big dog lover. And it's not often not the dog, it's the dog owner. Oh, they're fine, really, when they're peeing up your leg in the park or something, or, sniffing your, oh, no, they're fine, they're lovely, really.
They're just being friendly.
They're just being friendly, but everyone thinks that you're going to love their dog as much as they love their dog. And we know with children, it doesn't work like that.
It sort of doesn't happen, does it? I mean, I like dogs. I also like cats. I am an equal opportunity animal lover. So I'm very keen on both of these things. We don't have cats at the moment. We have had cats. I've had cats for ages. My first cat was called Ophelia. Which was very and she was in this sort of weird flat that I slept in, that I stayed in, and one of the problems is that the cat was there, and one of the problems is that
the cat was there. That's why you moved in.
The cat was it wasn't. It was there.
What was the cat subletting to you?
The cat was there. It was Ophelia. She was there. She was lovely, loved by everybody, but she got quite traumatized because, and I don't know whether this counts as animal cruelty or not.
Oh dear, here we go.
But basically, somebody was smoking a joint, and then blew the smoke at the cat.
Yeah.
Who then looked at them, and then I watched it just fell off the back of the sofa. The cat was then rehomed at somebody's mother's house where it lived a long and a happy life. That cat did.
Right. I hope it didn't lead the cat onto hard stuff.
No, I think it was fine. It was always.
It could have been a gateway moment. that.
Anyway,
No, hang on. If we're going to go through animals, I've had cats throughout my life. I mean, we had Francis, we had Zeus, we had Sherbet, we had Liquid. You just named Ophelia, so I'm name checking my
I didn't
cats.
do the others. I also had one called Count Otto von Schnuffelberger, but we won't go into him. Anyway, the reason why we're talking about them is animals in the garden, because this is a gardening podcast, even though to the casual listener might not realise that.
Well, okay, with an immediate conflict here, okay, because you've got your domesticated animals, which cats, dogs, tortoise,
Guinea pig, hamster. Not really in the garden.
You might let it out of the garden, you know.
No.
Rabbits, pet rabbit. I used to have a pet rabbit when I was a kid.
Did you?
But yeah, in a hutch in a garden. Olympics. 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 You see what I did there?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I've actually got a picture. I painted it when I was a child, and my mum still got that picture. And it's not a bad picture, actually, got to say. It was a beautiful... Oh, look, I'm not going to go into the rabbits.
Let's go to the rabbits. Okay, so you got those. You got your domesticated animals. Could go a bit... If you've got a bigger garden, could possibly be an alpaca.
Yes. Well, you go in the whole horse. Small holding.
A horse?
Yeah, donkey,
but we're not going
horse.
there. So what you're talking
chickens.
about...
Chickens, you had chickens.
We have got chickens now. Always have chickens. Our chickens are called Vanessa. And Vanessa. And Vanessa, and Vanessa.
Keep it simple.
They keep it simple. All chickens have the same name and have done for many generations. They're all called Vanessa.
Okay.
But your point was about the conflict.
The conflict. Okay, conflict between domesticated animals. I mean, you know, have you ever seen a tortoise, you know, take on a wild pheasant or something? No, it doesn't happen. But okay, cats and dogs mainly cats actually, yeah. And this whole dilemma. So, and Hugh Warwick wrote on Scribehound about cats and the damage that they do, and how many millions of birds in the UK, and how many billions of birds in America that they kill, wild birds.
That's right.
And you know, mine did when they were young used to bring in birds. So there's a huge dilemma whether to get another cat, and we have incredible bird life in our garden that is positively encouraged. And you know, every now and then I put out bird feeders, but now there's another dilemma there because Sarah Raven speaks about don't put out bird feeders. Anyway. So there's a conflict between domesticated animals and wild animals. Do they kill them? Do they drive them away? And are we really damaging wildlife as a result, I guess? That sounds a bit serious.
It is quite serious, but I think it's quite an important one, particularly now you move to the countryside where you have much more wildlife. I mean, when you were in Hackney, there was a couple of foxes living under your shed.
A couple. We had about 10 of them under there.
And that was it. And the cat and foxes are reasonably even matching.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you've got more wildlife, then what do you do about cats? We're not urging people to not have cats because, you know, there's nothing better than a warm pussy.
Jamie, I can't believe you just
said
that.
I just did that.
That is definitely going to get
gag.
cut out.
I should. I was Mrs. Slocum moments. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Anyway, moving on.
Anyway,
exactly.
So you've got this. You've got this thing. So everybody should have a cat if they want one. They're nice things. Are they good?
But should
are they good for gardens?
I'm asking, should they be allowed a cat if they want one?
Well, I mean, we're not a police state. We can't go and ban. We can't start arresting people for having a cat.
But I do believe in intervention. Actually, I do believe that it's like saying, well, anybody should be able to, you know, drive a vehicle that does 5 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, which they shouldn't be allowed to do.
And I don't think they should be allowed to do that.
Well, then
and we are moving into the realm of, it's not a nanny state, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's just being sensible. And we are in a critical stage of the planet where, you know, species are just being wiped out almost on a daily basis. Yeah. And I want you to do something about it.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have the independent country of Scribehound. Where cats will be banned forever. You're going to lose every single person who listens to this. You've lost the dog lovers. You're now going to lose the cat lovers.
No, because the cat lovers are understanding people like me. And if the cats are banned, the dogs are banned too.
Okay, we're going to ban the lot. We're going to move away from that. We're going to move into more interesting animals. Like there was somebody the other day who had an alligator in their garden. Do we appreciate that? Yes.
What, in the UK?
Yes.
Well, why?
Because it was like a pet alligator, you know, a cutesy pootsy alligator.
Oh, you put that on your lap in front of the TV, would you? Start stroking its neck.
Yeah, that. So we have an alligator. I think that other people, you know, you could have baby goats, all this kind of stuff. But the question, my question to you is, can you have a good garden, a nice garden that works properly, with animals in it. So if you have a cat and you have a nice garden, will the cat ruin the planting? If you have a dog, will it spend its life chasing a tennis ball all the way through your herbaceous borders? Does it matter? Is it all about everything living in perfect harmony, like as the New Seekers had it?
I think you can. I mean, when we did have cats, it's also the size of the garden. If you've got a tiny garden and a very large cat, like a lion or something, then that's going to become a problem. But if you have a largish garden and you've got a cat or two, I don't think it's going to damage the garden whatsoever.
So it's going to be fine. Even though, okay, so what, we've both done lots of garden shows, lots of Q&As and that sort of thing, and the cat question.
Oh yeah,
which is always there. Which I feel we have to tackle. This is the sort of place where we do cutting edge things, like the cat shat on the mat stuff. Which again, Hugh Warwick covered by actually a cat literally did shit on his doormat, and then he went and lay in it, which was probably not such a good idea.
Yeah, what was he
people
doing?
quite often say,
yeah.
Oh, what am I going to do about the neighbour's cat that comes and does its business
when
in
we
my
had
garden?
two cats, we had Sherbet and Licorice, and we were in London, and our neighbour, they would go, actually, I mean, I didn't train them to do this, okay, but he had this flat roof, and they go up there and they turn it into their cat tray. You know, I didn't tell them to do it, and they didn't listen to me anyway.
No.
But he came around and he said, can you stop your cats from, crapping on my flat roof? I said, no, I can't. I'm sorry. You'll have to tell him yourself.
Yeah, but it's quite a nice place. If you're going to go and crap somewhere, then you've got a nice view. Nobody can sneak up behind you. Go and do it on the roof.
Gravel is the thing. 10 millimeter pea shingle is the thing to avoid.
Yeah, they love that.
They absolutely love that. So go up to 20. Now we're going to practical advice. Go up to 20 mil. They don't like getting their little paws in that and scraping around in that.
They don't. That's very, very true. But then the other thing is what they do like is they like a nicely dug over border.
Yeah.
Do you remember Reg Moole?
How can I? Of course I know.
Reg Moole's cat mine.
Yeah.
Do you remember him talking to Reg Moole? Okay, was the voice of gardening on Radio 3 Counties.
Yeah.
And we've sat on stages with him many times. He was brilliant. He would come onto a stage before anybody arrived at the show and he would start talking about anything and everything to an audience of nobody. And then suddenly one person would come and then two people would come and then 10 people would come and people would just be attracted to the mellifluous tones of Reg Moole talking and coming up with practical and useful things that we can't do. But his cat thing. Okay, so what the idea, there's something called the cat mine. And you have a vegetable bed where the soil is nicely dug over just right for the cat. You dig a hole in it, and in that hole you put a balloon, an inflated balloon, and then you cover it up with soil. And the cat comes along, oh, I'm feeling a bit of a peristaltic urge here. There's a nice piece of ground over there, goes along, does its sort of digging around stuff, hits the balloon, bang! The whole thing, balloon explodes, cat runs off in another direction, much hilarity and jollity, and the cat doesn't come back for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So that was one option. The other option was a very powerful
Is it a couple of days or
water pistol.
How long is a cat's memory?
Well, I don't know. It's slightly longer than a goldfish's. Yeah. I think cats actually.
Yeah, but goldfish isn't going to poo in your bed.
It's not going. We're not going to have a problem with goldfish, which is another thing. Okay, that's another animal to have in your garden. Is a fish pond.
Yeah. Oh, I used to have fish. Yeah,
that's a good thing.
I like fish, and I had a big pond in my previous place in Hackney. I got a sort of 3 metre diameter pond with lots of fish, but because I lived on a sort of first floor. I had the first floor in the basement, and I had a hose pipe going from the kitchen tap. It was literally sort of 50-metre long hose pipe to top up the pond. Every now and then.
Do you have a tap outside?
No outside tap. No, okay. And it went from the kitchen to this pond.
Yeah.
And a friend of Cass had just moved in with me, and a friend of hers was smoking a fag out the window. And I used to have the hose pipe sort of stuck under a brick so that I could just plug it in whenever I needed to. And it was on the windowsill. And she was having a fag. She knocked the hose pipe off, and the whole pond drained out.
Oh, it's siphoned.
Siphoned out, and there were fish flapping everywhere. The local cats had an absolute field day. I came back, and there were just dead fish everywhere, an empty pond, and I was absolutely fuming. But soon after that, Kath got pregnant. It was a big pond, not great for kids and babies. Got rid of the pond, decked over it, put a deck over the pond. Safety issue gone, fish gone.
No problem.
All done.
Although the moral of that story is that you shouldn't take up smoking, children.
No,
'cause
that's
bad things happen to fish.
Yes.
Apart from anything else. Okay, so fish. So cats in the garden we can cope with. Dogs in the garden we can cope with. Fishes. These are all good things. Alligators were a bit dubious.
I had tench, I had orf, I had goldfish.
you had
I had quite a selection of fish in there.
There's quite a lot of stuff, isn't
I used to
there?
go to Wildwoods Water Gardens up in Enfield, and you come back with it. It's like going to the fair, you know. You come back with a plastic bag, an oxygenated bag full of with fish in it, and
Are you
then
allowed
you
to do
release
that
them.
now?
Yes, yeah.
But are you allowed to get them from a fair? You can't. But
No,
win a fish in a
I
fair,
don't know.
can
I
you?
can't
You do
stand
that kind of
fairs.
stuff.
I'd run away from a fair.
You don't do that. But so what's the difference between an orf and a goldfish?
An orf is sort of long. I had ghost. An orf. Sorry, yeah. No, I was thinking of koi, a ghost koi. Well, they've got different names.
That's thing, and one
They're
of those,
more slender. An orf is more slender.
It's awfully different.
Oh dear, that's
sorry.
terrible. Okay, so when we've also got a pheasant. Okay, we haven't got a pheasant. No, the pheasant turns up and likes our garden.
Yeah.
And the pheasant has changed, shape and size and colour over the last couple of years. So it's not the same pheasant. But it doesn't matter what the pheasant is. I call it Freddie.
Oh, we have one that's called Phineas.
No, well, you would. Yours would have a posh name.
Yeah.
Mine's after Freddie Lundberg, the fantastic Arsenal footballer.
Okay,
Freddie.
I was asked to Phineas Fogg from Around the World in 80 Days.
Yeah, no, I know Phineas Fogg, yeah. So Freddie used to come and tap, when we first got there, tap on the back window,
Yeah.
which meant he was hungry. I'd get the cereal out or something and feed him some cereal. And every sort of evening, it was really lovely. That's how I know Freddie's changed, because the new Freddie doesn't do it.
Okay.
But that is a lovely thing to have in your garden. It is wildlife. It's an animal. It's a bit like a pet, but you don't have to do anything.
at
You
all.
don't.
And it automatically changes itself
And it changes itself
when
every
it
year or
dies,
two.
because they have, particularly at this time of year, there's the most extraordinary colour, and a cock pheasant looks amazing. It's sort
Yeah.
of glossy and strutting. It comes on. Actually,
Are they more golden at this time of year? Because this one is, our new Freddie is quite gold.
He's got his best kecks on. He's off on the pool.
Oh,
That's
well,
what he
he's
is.
pulled, I'm telling you.
He comes and sits by the window and looks lasciviously at Celestia and says hello. He's like Terry Thomas, basically. This pheasant.
Terry Thomas of the Pheasant World.
So there's that sort of accidental wildlife. I mean, they're obviously not native, but they're there and they're out there.
But
and
they're the
there's a lot
best of
them.
all worlds, because you get to observe them. I mean, you can't, you don't take them for a walk or anything. You don't have to do anything, but you can just enjoy their presence.
But that's what all. It's nice to have pets like that. Also, I understand it's a semi-pet. That's like some people get very attached to squirrels. I don't personally, but
No.
because they're obviously clever,
Yeah.
and they do. People who make those obstacle courses for squirrels to make it really difficult for the squirrel to get a peanut. And it has to sort of turn somersaults and work upside down.
They're
and all this sort
incredible
of
things.
stuff.
They're amazing.
I mean, extraordinary. I mean, they are sort of verminous. They do terrible damage to some trees. They're eating the bark, the ring-barking trees, and particularly field maples actually suffer badly from squirrel. So what else have you got in your garden?
Well,
We've got a hedgehog.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Which is very nice.
Everyone loves a hedgehog.
Everybody loves a
You
hedgehog.
can't stroke a hedgehog, though.
Well, they're actually cuddlier than you think they
What?
are. If you pick them up.
Yeah, I don't think you should pick them up.
I know, but we had to pick up one at one point. I had to pick
It'll
up this
smell
hedgehog.
of
I put
you.
some gloves on.
That's not going to attract any other hedgehog, is it? If
No,
it smells of you.
maybe hedgehogs find me irresistible. I feel possibly not. But anyway, you pick it up and it's not as prickly as you think it's going to be. It's just maybe a little bit bristly.
Okay.
It'll be like sort of, cupping the chin
But
of
hang
somebody
on,
with a beard.
But when you say you've got a hedgehog, everyone thinks that they see a hedgehog
I know,
in their garden
I
and
know.
they think it's their hedgehog. But actually, they travel miles and miles every night.
5 miles a night, I think.
Is it 5 miles a night?
Again,
Back
Hugh,
to the
Hugh
pub and
Warwick
back.
on Scripad, he writes a lot about hedgehogs. He's like a hedgehog whisperer, and knows. But they go a long way. And yes,
So it'll visit your garden.
I know the one that we've seen is the same as the one that's the neighbour's seen, the same as the one, and we all think, oh, our hedgehog's come back again.
Yeah.
It's actually not. They're very fickle hedgehogs. They don't have particular affection for anybody. They just wander around. And the other
They're a bit
bit of
prickly,
myth,
are they?
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey.
The myth about hedgehogs is that they eat all your slugs, which they don't. Really? That mean okay? If you're a slug, if your choice is to eat a slug or eat something else,
Yeah.
what would you eat?
Something else.
Anything else?
I'll
pretty
have
much.
maybe a curry or something.
Yeah, exactly. You'd much rather have a curry than a slug, and I'm with you there all the way.
Yeah.
But so hedgehogs will eat slugs in extremis, but not all the time. So they're not the best.
When they're starving,
Yeah,
they'll
exactly.
eat a slug.
They'll come and eat a slug. Whereas the best thing to eat a slug, I think, is probably a frog. Have you got any frogs?
Well, no, but I am thinking of putting some permanent water in because I've got this dew pond, so it's basically wet in the winter and it dries out.
Yeah.
We've talked about this.
Yeah,
It's a puddle, but I don't think it's got enough water for long enough to have frogs. But I would like some frogs in the garden.
I think it's quite fun. I've got.
I wouldn't want a pet frog. That would be ridiculous.
No, quite nice.
No, it wouldn't.
No, I mean it wouldn't. It wouldn't be good for the frog. But if you have a pond, we have a pond. And every year there's a little bit of frog spawning. I want frogs badly, and I can't have frogs because I've got too many newts, and the newts eat the tadpoles, and therefore the tadpoles never get a chance to actually hatch. Whereas there's a client of mine who's got this nice garden in the middle of a village, and we put this big pond in, and she has so many froglets. All these baby frogs come out, little tiny weeny baby frogs.
Well, okay, so controversial.
Yeah.
What about putting another pond in your garden and keeping the newts out? So
How
it's
do you-
like
How do you segregate
It's
the
like
newts?
apartheid. It's apartheid.
We don't want to encourage that sort of thing.
Well, you have to put a little fence up or something. You have like checkpoints.
Checkpoint Charlie.
Yeah, passports.
Checkpoint Freddy the frog.
Yeah, oh, you're a newt or a frog. You
can go one way or
How
the
many
other.
legs you got?
But yeah, exactly. Have you got a tail? Have you got a shiny orange belly? I quite like the newts. They're quite sweet.
No, it's brilliant having newts. You don't want to get rid of the newts, but you also want to attract the frogs.
I would like to have more frogs because this woman who's got them in the village, and there's these.
Why have they not got newts taken over?
Because they've got frogs instead, and the newts haven't found
But
them.
is it like who turns up first?
I think so. Basically, I
Okay.
don't know. We have to ask somebody
Squatters'
who
rights.
knows. We could ask you or ask somebody who knows about these things. And so these baby frogs. The problem we have with the baby frogs in this place is because it's in the village. They escaped and they went out, and the next door neighbour rang her up and said, "Excuse me," and she said, "Hello, yes." He said, "One of your baby frogs is in my toilet." And I said, basically, if it's in your toilet, it's no longer my frog, it's yours. And they'd gone underneath the door and then jumped into the loo,
Right.
which was, one of those
That's
things.
quite distressing.
It's okay. You can
I'm
get
going to
arrested
check
and
the
they'll be
next
all
time I
right.
sit on a loo.
I think you need to make sure.
I'm definitely checking first.
You need to check for
Oh, I
that.
just had a flashback to like a gardening moment in my early 20s, when I was forking through a bed, like I was forking it all over and everything, and I shoved my fork down, in a very manly way, and went straight through the middle of a frog.
No.
Yeah, it was literally came out like that with a fork prong it was through his back like that.
That's not a nice story.
No, I know it's not a nice story, but it's been haunting me. So
okay.
I feel much relieved to get that out.
It's a cathartic moment.
But also, yeah, I did dispatch it in a proper
humane
manner.
fashion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
whacked it over the
it
head with a
happens.
shovel.
That's humane. It's
What do you want
humane.
me
It's
to do?
fast.
I couldn't bring it back. I couldn't stitch it up.
you
It's gone
couldn't-
right through it.
gone. No, I've done the same thing myself. I've also had a horrible accident with a strimmer and a frog before now. It's not nice at all, but we try and look after them wherever we can.
Yeah.
Do you think somebody might have sent us some questions? I think they possibly could
Just
have
before
done.
I'm going to go on to the
Okay.
last piece of wildlife in my garden.
All right.
There's not a pet, but it's larger than anything we've been talking about.
Okay, a deer.
Yeah, deer. We have deer.
We have muntjac, which are like the little.
They're the little
deer.
ones. Apparently they're quite tasty.
Have
the
you got big
muntjac.
ones?
Yeah, we got a sort of quite big one, and they eat the rosebuds, but they're beautiful, such beautiful things. And I've got some of these solar sort of things that make a noise. And when Connie, my daughter, comes round, she can hear it because she's still got sort of teenager's ears. It's like this really high pitched noise. But I don't quite know how problematic these deer are going to be in the long run.
You're going to fence them off.
No, have I talked about my deer before? I think I have.
You might have done.
Yeah,
It's
because
okay.
you're
People won't
glazing
remember.
over.
No. I understand. I get the deer thing, but
any-
deer is one of those problems that's almost insurmountable. You can't do anything.
No.
About it. They have much more.
I know, I'm just sharing, James, because we're talking about wildlife in
That's
the
fine.
garden,
It's
and
good.
deer are real wildlife,
We'll
know.
appreciate them because they jump over the hedge.
Yeah, they
Or
jump
come
over
in and
anything.
graze around the place. And yeah, I have them. Oh God, I had a deer in a client's garden that ate many hundreds of pounds worth of tulips this year.
Yeah, they eat
They
tulips
just can't
and
eat the top of
roses.
them.
They love
Yeah.
roses.
And you, interestingly,
They haven't eaten me yet.
hey, you hedges, they'll nibble them, even though you think
Will
they're
they?
poisonous. The deer will actually eat them.
Okay.
It's interesting. Anyway, that's enough facts. Enough facts. We're going to go off facts. We're going to go on to questions.
We've been quite interesting today. People have learned a lot about frogs and pheasants and
They've
cats
learned,
and
and
dogs
us.
and newts and yeah. Are humans in the garden? Are they wildlife? Technically,
Should they be encouraged?
should they be encouraged into the garden? Oh, okay. Louis got the
Louis,
first
to
question.
me,
What
I
do you?
was thinking-
It's only because you want one of these. You want one of these, don't
Yeah,
you?
I've got I know where to order them.
Okay.
My question is, do you have a phobia of snakes, being another animal? And as somebody with a phobia of snakes, how should I avoid, or what should I avoid lifting up to find one in my garden?
I quite like a snake in the garden because then you know that in our gardens anyway, anybody who's listening from abroad may have a different viewpoint. Is that it's pretty much going to be a grass snake, isn't it? I mean, we haven't got any adders where you might have adders where you are. You might have adders closer to the down in Dorset.
I worry.
mightn't you?
I don't have phobias of snakes, but I don't like the idea of touching snakes and them sort of wriggling around. I'm not, some people are like, oh, they're lovely, they're really dry, they look a bit slimy to me, and I've never touched one, so I don't know what they feel like. But I don't really want a snake, I'll be honest, anywhere near me. So maybe I've got a phobia as well, have I?
I don't think. No,
Or is
I
it just
think-
normal?
I'm going to make
I
a
think-
wild guess here, but I think that the word for having a snake phobia is ophidophobia.
Ophidophobia.
I think it's what.
So Louis got ophidophobia.
I think Louis got ophidophobia, but other people who've had ophidophobia include what's the name of the what's he called? The guy who in that film in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Harrison Ford plays. What's the name of the character?
The guy with the hat.
The guy with that he has a snake phobia as well. So it is, but I think that the answer to Louis' question is that what snakes do is that they in the springtime and summertime they come out because they want the sunshine. They want to absorb
Yeah, heat.
sunshine. And
They
we
like
used
heat.
to have a grass snake
Yeah.
that used to come and sleep on the back doorstep.
Yeah.
And occasionally she'd come in the kitchen and have us keep in the kitchen as
Oh,
well,
really?
in the snow, and then and not in the snow,
That's
in
a
the
pet
sunshine.
snake.
And then it's not a pet snake. 'Cause
No, that's a pet
It never had a
snake.
name or anything. And it wasn't
Oh, come
invited
on.
into the kitchen. It was a bit of a shock to
Why
come
didn't
down
you
and
should have
find
given it a name?
And
You've
then
given everything
we
else a
found
name.
It was a big one. It was like sort of,
You're joking, that big?
4 feet long
Wow.
or something.
Wow.
And we could see it in the chicken run and all sorts of things. But we knew it's a grass snake and it's fine. And I've seen one swimming in the pond. They swim in water.
Yeah.
So far, Louis got to avoid back doorsteps, swimming,
Long,
any hot rocks.
Long grass as well, because it's a habitat loss. Is probably why there's such a decline in everything, basically,
Yeah.
including snakes.
And compost heaps where they used to lay
well, that's
their eggs.
slow worms, right?
No, slow worms
can't-
you find there, but grass snakes lay their eggs in the compost heap. Because I've found lots of little pencil-sized snakes as well.
Right. What, in your compost heap?
Yeah, when the eggs hatch out, the eggs is like a clump of things. It all looks stuck together and they're slightly rubbery, and then these little tiny snakes come out of them.
Right, wow.
So Louis is probably not coming to my house because there's maybe too many snakes there.
No, not anymore. But an adder, adders are quite, you got to be a bit careful.
And
with
you've got to
adders.
be a bit careful. You'll find it in certain parts of the country, but they're also quite recognisable because they've got this sort of
V
shape.
Yeah, they're like they're called viper.
Vipers. The vipers.
La vipere, we used to say in Italy as we walked around the mountains.
Okay. All right.
Okay, right. Question time.
Okay.
Right.
Shall I go first?
Okay, now we've decided that not everybody gets one of these just because we read out the question. Because if the
No.
question's rubbish or is searching for some real information, gardening, tips,
Yes.
they might not get one of these.
No, they won't. It is.
We're
something-
becoming more discerning.
It is a privilege to be earned, not to be given out willy-nilly.
Exactly.
This is not a primary school egg and spoon race where everybody wins.
Certainly not.
It's not that. Okay, do you want to go first? What do you got?
Okay, I've got Francesco from
Francesco.
Greenwich.
Okay.
Francesco. That means man. Francesca would be a woman.
Yeah, Francesco.
Roses are synonymous with love, but they're so boring and stereotypical. What can I give my girlfriend as a gesture of love that brings the wow factor and will blow her away? I guess he means something planty.
A holiday somewhere really nice.
Yeah, I was going
Would
to
be
say.
better.
I was going to say.
Something to eat or anything.
Yeah.
But if something planty, I mean, okay, I dispute. I think roses are quite good. I think you could give a rose if he's got a garden, then you give her a rose bush rather than a bunch of roses. Bunch of roses flown in from South America or
Morocco.
Kenya, covered in pesticides. No, thank you very much indeed. Out of season roses, absolutely not. Any roses that you're giving anybody should be grown in this country.
Yeah, I never buy Kath roses for Valentine's.
No, that's a really,
because
really
I don't
bad
get her
idea.
anything for Valentine's, But no, I just don't. I don't go along with that in February. It's just ridiculous.
No, it's a bad idea.
What is all that about? It should be the crocus anyway. I think crocus was the original Valentine flower.
It?
Yes,
That would make sense.
and that would make sense because it's seasonal.
And also, crocus, I think, was like a Greek mythological character who was terribly handsome.
Right.
Or is that Narcissus? Maybe that's Narcissus. But crocus did
Sounds like
something.
Narcissus.
Crocus was a nymph. Anyway, look it up. Google it. There's something about crocus and the
so
things.
plant. Okay, so a plant. Well, okay. Well, we're probably. I mean, an orchid. They're still flown in, but they last such a long time. They reflower. We've got one just reflowering now that we've had, for a couple of years. They're not just a bunch of roses that just get composted. They do live on as a plant and are the same price as a bunch of roses.
They're not something that I would take on unless you were quite an experienced gardener as to make an orchid reflower.
Well, we just gave it to the mother-in-law for a couple of months and had the house done, came back and it was in flower. She's brilliant with it.
Your mother-in-law is excellent.
She's a very good gardener, I've got to say.
101 uses for a mother-in-law. That's use number 933 or 1001. I think that it would be a nice idea to give a plant that actually planted in the ground.
Okay.
If you don't have a garden, that makes tricky. Possibly a house plant.
Houseplant, yeah.
Houseplant is there forever, rather than your bunch of roses. Oh, how lovely!
Not all
Mama,
houseplants are
how
there
fantastic! Well, they are if you reasonably look after them, I guess. So you put your roses in a vase, maybe a week, and then they've all fallen apart. Your houseplant is there forever. Every time I look at that rubber plant,
People find
I
being
will think
given
of
a
you.
plant quite a responsibility, especially if it's a sign of love. Because what if they
dies?
kill it? Yeah.
Oh, maybe okay. So this is quite a tricky question, then, isn't it? Because we're finding little tripwires all over the place.
We
that
are.
are probably difficult.
We are.
Do we just give him a gnome and move on to the next one?
Yeah, I think it's a gnome, but let's just move on. I mean, okay. So, what can I give my girlfriend as a gesture of love that brings the wow factor and will blow her away? What do you say? Like a piece? You say like an indoor plant? Oh yeah, right.
No, that's not
That's
very
not going to
wow.
do it. It's not going
wowy.
to do it
unless it's a really, really big one. But then even that's pushing it. That's going too far. I think that it would be nice to have.
What about
a gesture.
dedicating a tree somewhere else? Buying a tree in a
forest.
No, but isn't that sort of like that's
No,
a
but
bit memorially?
It is
No,
a
I
little
think
bit.
that's memorially.
Okay,
You
so
know, you do
how about something that's going to be? I think you just. How about a ticket to the Arsenal?
Yeah, now we're talking.
That's more of the sort of
That's
thing.
how romantic.
That's what you'd like, isn't it? As
Could
a
you
romantic
get-
present.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kath came to the Arsenal once, and that was it. And my dad took my mum to the Arsenal in like 1963 or something, and she just read a book all the way through it, and so she was never invited again.
Okay, all right. We're going to go on to another question now. Now we've worked out. Francesco gets the whatever. I've got a question from Neil in Bermuda.
Wow, what? We are global, Jimmy.
We are all over the place.
Bermuda.
We are all over the place. Okay, so you'd expect something sort of quite exotic from a questioner in Bermuda, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Something about palm trees, coconuts.
Yeah.
Was that all of that kind of stuff? Maybe swimming in the blue sea. Yeah. What I've got here from Neil in Bermuda is, what animal poop makes the best compost?
Okay.
Which is not what what sort of animals do they have in Bermuda? I think that the
do we have to? Have we got
we
a
have
second
to answer
guess?
this.
Well, okay. So there's well-rotted horse manure, right?
Yeah.
So horse manure.
Cow manure.
You know, cow manure is a bit. It's different, and it can. There have been some bad years of cow manure because of what they've been eating. That have actually been too strong and to kill people's plants off.
That's to do with the pesticides in the grass that
Yeah.
wasn't killed off by going through the cow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then it came back.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it's like that most years. But the best one is well-rotted horse manure.
I think
is the best. They must have horses in Bermuda.
They'll definitely have horses and donkeys and all those. I think
Yeah,
that
donkey
the
poo.
golden rule, the first rule, is get your poop from a vegetarian.
What's poop?
Poo.
Is that?
I mean, it's
that-
the Bermudan for poo or shit.
Is it just so that you can spell it backwards or forwards?
It is a palindrome.
There
It's
you
one
go.
of those things. But basically, anything that is vegetarian, so anything like cats, dogs, bad idea because they're eating meat, and that
Oh
doesn't
my
make
God,
that doesn't
James.
make good manure.
No.
So horses excellent, cows not too bad, sheep if you
Chicken-
get hold of it,
chicken poop.
chicken is good.
Chicken is good because it's high in nitrogen.
Very high.
And we use pelleted chicken manure anyway in the garden.
Yeah, it's strong though, strong chicken. You shouldn't. You need to make sure that it rots down and it's actually put in the compost heap and goes. All of my chicken manure goes on the compost heap.
Yeah.
and then it just gets into the general
Or
thing
you
rather
just
than
use
actually
it
put
very
out.
sparingly, or you can turn it into a liquid.
You can do all sorts of
So
things
it
with
stinks.
it, basically. Okay, so that's our poo thing is
Oh,
stick with the vegetarians.
I love the thought that we're big in Bermuda,
We're
Jimmy.
massive in
Maybe
Bermuda.
we'll have to pop
do you
over
think
and-
do you think fish poo's okay?
Fish poo, fish blood and bone.
Yeah.
Fish
It's all
blood
there,
and
but
bone.
that involves the fish laying down its life rather than just pooing in a bucket for you.
I tell you, it'd be really quite tricky harvesting fish poo. You know,
I suppose you need a really fine
I mean,
net.
when I catch a nice fish and I do dispatch it and eat it, I don't. I do. There is poo in there sometimes, but I don't ever think about putting it on the garden. I'll be
Well,
honest
maybe
with you.
next time you should consider that one. Okay, what have you got on your card?
Oh, I've got another one. I've got Jane from Southampton. I have a mature Photinia Red Robin in my garden. Do you know what's coming here?
Yes.
No, you're wrong, Jimmy. Which I'm not keen on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good, because it's
Okay.
it's one of my most undesired plants. It's in full sun, and if I remove it, I'll lose a lot of privacy from my neighbours. Should I just keep it for the cover or bite the bullet and get rid of it? And if so, what should I replace it with? Oh, practical advice.
We don't do that, but we can tell you about it.
Jane, we can talk about getting rid of it. Definitely get rid of it. If you don't like it, get rid of it. And they're ubiquitous. And at the moment, they are a scourge of the countryside. On my drive on the way here, they're all in flower. They're all got their red leaves and their green leaves. And
So what
honestly-
is it? What have you got against them? Is it just their look? Is
Me?
it their habits? Yes.
Or Jane?
Well,
Me
either
and
of
Jane.
you have to speak for Jane.
They're just horrible things.
I know. Well, I wrote an article on Scribehand about how horrible Forsythia was, and everybody gave me a hard time. But
No,
I think you could
what-
write another article about how horrible Photinia is. But it's very popular because it grows fast and it's cheap. You can get them quite big.
It grows fast. It
And it's
gets
evergreen.
big. Yeah, it's evergreen. It doesn't have to have acidic soil to get that sort of glossy rhododendron look. You know, so people think, oh, great, I can. And yeah, it's a good screening plant. Well, I use the word good there. It is a screening plant. And it has sort of seasonal interest, so it changes throughout the season. It's flashy. It's flash.
I'd rather have a Portuguese laurel myself.
Yeah, Portuguese laurel was a good one.
Would actually be quite a good one.
Well, there you go. That's the answer.
Well, that's the answer. But the other possibility is if she doesn't want to take it out, then she could plant something in front of it. If it was inconvenient,
take it out.
That's too much practical.
do
Should we just rip it
the
out?
world a favour.
Rip it out. Plant something else. If you want to plant a Portuguese laurel, then you go with our blessing.
Yeah. Okay. So does Jane get? I think she does.
gets a gnome.
She gets a gnome.
She
She
gets a
gets a gnome.
She gets the name. I've got a question here. Chrissy from London. Oh, okay. Chrissy from London.
Yeah. Okay.
London. Remember that. All right.
What do you mean? I can remember that. I was actually. I've lived in London. For,
I know, but I'm not sure whether you ever did this particular thing when you were there.
Okay.
Is it socially acceptable? Remember, I went to your house in London, terraced house, all joined together. Okay. Is it socially acceptable to sunbathe naked in your garden?
Socially acceptable.
Socially
Is it
acceptable.
accepted by your social
I
surroundings?
mean, is it okay? I mean, I think the answer to the question is no, probably.
No, I don't agree.
Well, I mean, how would you like look out of your window of a morning? You get out a bit of a stretch, clean your teeth, look out the window, and there's your next door neighbour naked and flagrantly splayed out in the back garden.
You're over-egging it now.
No, I'm telling it as it is.
Okay,
As
for
it could
start, we don't know if she is visible from her neighbours, which was going to get onto my little bit of useful advice, was
Okay.
if you're going to do it, make sure that no one is spying upon you, so you have privacy in your sunny area. And then you can, do it discreetly, then I think that's fine. But if you are on full view of all your neighbours, I guess it's up to you.
It sort of depends on what your aim is in this. If
Well, the
it's
aim is to
if
get a
it's
tan, I guess.
a nice nutty colour to be tanned, then go with it. If your neighbours come and complain, then you can apologise and move slightly to the left or to the right so that you're out of your view. Or else you can have a screen that went around you like this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you can create a little bit of privacy or a screen around you so that if you like sunbathing naked. I used to go out with a girl who used to sunbathe topless in her garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think it's fine.
and no one seemed to mind then.
no one's going to.
Didn't bother me in the slightest.
I think it's all right. What it is it follows many sort of practices, provided it doesn't upset anybody or scare the horses. It's
Yeah.
perfectly okay.
Yeah, it's not illegal, is it?
No, I don't think so. Well, it depends. If it's your front garden, it might be. But I mean, you stay in the back garden. That reminds me of a bad joke that somebody told me, which may not work in this thing because it requires this sort of thing. It says, and I went naked sunbathing in West London once, and now you have to come back.
Oh, did you?
No, you don't say that.
No. Oh.
You have to say, can I whisper this? Say Turnham Green.
Oh, Turnham Green.
No, a nice nutty shade of brown, actually. You see? There's a variation on that joke as well. I got a body piercing in Hampshire once.
Oh. What, in your ear?
No, a lip hook. So that's a very sort of geographically specific one.
Oh.
Another question.
Oh, another
Last
question. Let's
question.
flow it in. Wow. Okay. Anon. Is it, or is it Aaron?
Anon, they don't want to be.
Anon.
Anonymous.
Okay. I fed a squirrel in my garden, and he's returning with his friends. Have I made a wildlife haven or rodent cafe?
I think you've made a wildlife haven, basically. Well, I mean, okay, what's the difference
What's the difference
between a wildlife haven and a rodent cafe?
Well, it's how you classify a bunch of squirrels. What's the
The collective
Collective
noun for a
noun
bunch
for-
of squirrels is a nuisance.
Is it?
I know, no idea.
What about a squander?
A squander
squander
is
of
quite
squirrels.
nice. A squirm of
A
squirrels.
squirm of squirrels.
A squish of squirrels. I don't know. I mean, I think that some people, as we said earlier, love squirrels. They love to feed squirrels. Other people think that squirrels are a right pain in the arse. And they come and they dig up the bulbs and they ring bark trees and they're a nuisance and they're a pest.
I mean, them getting rid of the lovely little brown squirrel, red squirrel, those days are long gone, so we don't have to worry about that at all. They are basically here to stay. They are everywhere.
They are. Except there's still some places where red squirrels exist.
Yeah.
But there's not very many of them
There's
in Scotland and
they're being
the
wiped
lizard.
out.
Yeah.
They are being wiped out. So from a sort of a wildlife perspective, it's whether you're seeing them as entertaining and part of just the wildlife in your garden, which they are. And if they're not coming to your garden to eat your nuts, they'll be going to somebody else. They'll be going to somebody else's anyway, won't they?
It's a scurry of squirrels.
Scurry.
A scurry of squirrels. It just suddenly came to my mind.
I like that. I like a scurry of
A
squirrels.
scurry of squirrels. So there it is. So we can't give this person a name because we don't know who they are.
No. So yeah.
So anonymous contributors can't get gnomes. But it's one of those questions that's very difficult to answer. Some people love squirrels, some people hate the squirrel. Personally, I could easily live without them. I've eaten one once.
Have you?
Yeah.
What, roadkill?
No, I think it was in a restaurant.
What? You're joking?
Yeah, they had a squirrel pate or something like that.
What?
It's sort of tasted of not very much, but
So-
it's an option.
And that'd be grey squirrel.
And that would be grey squirrel, exactly. You need a red squirrel. And then in America, in deep South America, squirrels are big things. A lot of squirrel shooting going on. But an American squirrel, I think, is bigger and darker.
But do they eat them there?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, again, it's perfectly, it's an okay thing
We
to
haven't
eat, I
answered.
guess.
Wildlife Haven or Rodent Cafe? One of the two, go.
Wildlife Cafe.
All right, I'll go for Rodent Cafe.
Okay. All right, that's it. We're done. We're done. That's questions. We've given away gnomes. We've spoken about animals in the garden. So I reckon that's probably us done for this episode. We will be back again next week to talk about something exciting.
Yeah.
If you have questions for us, please send them in. And the email address is...
gardening@scribehound.com.
Yeah, and the golden rules about our questions are...
No dead things and nothing boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's good.
Apart from that, if you want to know more, if you want to have more of this sort of stuff, then go and subscribe to Scribehound Gardening. There is a link in the show notes. But in the meantime, from me, James Alexander-Sinclair,
And me, Joe Swift.
that's it.
Bye-bye.